Hey, Ashley, welcome to the Retail Whore Podcast.
Hey, I'm so pumped to be here. Thanks for asking me.
I'm super excited, and I'd set it off before we started recording. Is that
Yeah.
the majority of the people who listen to the podcast are from the gift industry, and
Mm.
I know you from because I'm a buyer for a 5-store chain pharmacy, and I started listening and watching you guys, and then I'm part of the platform. And I just think it's like so valuable what you guys do, even like without being on the subscription side, it's so valuable. And I'm so excited to bring this to our gift retailers because I don't think a lot of people know what it's all about.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you for saying that. And I agree. When I first started in this industry, so the boutique has been around for just about 10 years. And when we first started, and I would say the word boutique, in my mind, coming from rural, Midwest America, right? A boutique was kind of all encompassing of things. So apparel, gift, home, whatever. Like it was just a small, like unique independent retailer. But the more I really traveled outside of that region of the country, especially in the South, a lot of people will say, no, I'm a gift store. This is a gift shop versus an apparel boutique. And so it's been interesting to learn the differences from different perspectives based on where you live. But the phenomenon that I'm seeing happening today, especially with post-pandemic living and with so many stores selling online or selling through live sales or selling through social media, is that there's a lot of crossover. There's a lot of traditional apparel stores selling gift, and there's a lot of traditional gifts selling apparel. And really, at the end of the day, we've just got to stick together. We're all trying to accomplish the same thing, and we have a lot of the same challenges. And so there's a lot of the same opportunities for success as well.
Well, I think one indicator for sure is how big apparel crossover into gift is with a lot of these big gift lines, Mud Pie, Demdaco, having whole entire apparel divisions now. And I think now gift people are starting to realize, like I said, in a pharmacy, gift or apparel is our number one department. It's insane. So we started out dribbling in like cash and carry, and now we do a few established lines, but it literally season after season is the number one thing on all the sales reports. It's crazy to me.
That's so cool. It kind of goes back to what's popular in marketing right now, right? If you think about what makes a store or a brand really successful, it has a lot to do with the authenticity of the brand, right? People want to do business with people, not companies. And so when you think about, as I'm selling to my ideal customer, I'm selling a lifestyle. I'm not just selling a product. I'm not just selling this gift item or things for their mantle, things for their kitchen. Like I'm selling a lifestyle to this person who I really connect with and they trust me. So if they trust me to sell one thing, they're going to trust me to sell a lot of things.
I say that all the time as far as a lifestyle, just like merchandising and storytelling. My background is I spent years with Fred Siegel Corporation. Fred was my mentor. And then I went on to work for Anthropologie for about 8 or 9 years. And Anthropologie is a perfect example of that lifestyle and selling, and where it all is this beautiful lifestyle that you're selling, and it all goes hand in hand. And that's a lot of what I teach on merchandising is who is she? Where does she live? What does she eat? What does she drink? Like, what are like all of that? What is she wearing to the beach? What I mean, and it I think not only helps you buy, but I think it also helps you create a more cohesive statement within your store.
Yes, absolutely. People don't buy products, right? They buy emotions, they buy experiences, and that's what you're talking about creating.
So I want to get into a little bit into, because we haven't really, I kind of segued out of what in the beginning, like I usually, you grew up in North Dakota and you 300 miles from shopping. Is that correct?
Yeah, if we were going to go back to school shopping, I was either going to drive to Bismarck, North Dakota, or Rapid City, South Dakota, the home of Mount Rushmore. And it was a good 3 hours either way. Our town was 1,600 people. There was no stoplight. There was no fast food. We were really the middle of nowhere. But even being the middle of nowhere, I'll say this, we had a booming Main Street. And I worked in economic development for, 7, 8 years, something like that. And so that was my role, was really to work on Main Street and grow the economy in that local community. And I've seen it thrive. So I don't think it matters what the population is. Like there's always opportunity for retail on all levels. And I loved it. I fell in love with retail in that location.
Tell me, I'm not sure which one to do. Tell me how Boutique Hub started, and then we'll get into what Boutique Hub is. And my favorite thing that you say, which is like the tagline, is community over competition. And that is literally what I believe. So I was so excited to hear that is your belief. So tell everyone a little bit about how you started and where boutique, the beginnings of it started.
Yes, absolutely. So the first thing, I'm actually going to start with your last question first, because that tagline, community over competition, I'll tell you how I very first encountered that. And it was a real experience when I was working in economic development in North Dakota. This was like the beginning of the oil boom. If you guys remember hearing about the Bakken, it was one of the largest oil developments in North America in the last several decades. And so it was just the wild, wild west of what was happening there. And at that time, there was a clothing store on one side of the street and an embroidery shop on the other, and one was going out of business. And so as the economic developer, this, business across the street comes into my office and they say, "Hey, Ashley, you've got to help us. We have to find another clothing store to go across the street here." And I stop and I'm like, "Why would you do that? Like, that was your competition. Wouldn't you want something else to go in? Like, now you've got more market share." And they're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. Anytime two or more like stores come together, we become a shopping destination." And I'm like, oh, like, just changed my life, that statement. And so to me, that's where community over competition and my whole theory on economic development in the local community, that's where it all was born from, was that one statement. And I believe that today for all these retailers, it doesn't matter what you sell. It doesn't matter if you're next door to one another. If you simply walk down the wine and bread aisle at Walmart, there's more than enough to go around. Right?
Oh my God. Oh my God. You don't even know, like, you are seriously singing my song, because I vacillate between retail and wholesale. And
yeah,
I'm actually leaving tomorrow to go live on job site at the Las Vegas Market Center, because my biggest client, Stephen Young, is opening a showroom there. He has 70,000 square feet in the LA Mart, and now he's expanding to Las Vegas. And tomorrow will be the very beginning stages of me starting to merchandise this very massive showroom. And, the last show, you could hear the buzz, because I don't know if you know Stephen, but you could hear the buzz of people that were both excited about him coming there, but also very afraid. Yeah. And I've been the first person to say, this is the thing, is that with Stephen coming to the showroom, he's bringing Glitterville, he's bringing 180 degrees, he's bringing Voluspa, lines that aren't represented in the Las Vegas Center now. And I said, by people coming in now, there's more for them to buy, but it means more people coming to the show who are going to walk the aisles and walk the showroom, which I 100% believe that is more valuable than thinking that it's the scary competition thing. And I'm so no idea how much I love that you just said that.
Well, it's true. And I've seen so many wonderful examples. What you're saying is absolutely spot on, right? Like, what you're doing is going to be better for everyone. But there's still this little like fear monger in our brains, right? That's squawking at us and saying, well, I've got to sell at the end of the day, right? Like, I'm worried, I'm still competing for the same dollar. But really, I think if you just look at it in the reverse and say, who's my ideal customer? How can I best serve her? What do I do really, really well? And then if I can just like literally be a servant leader, I think all businesses should be based on servant leadership as well. Like, if I can just approach it that way and say, what's good for my customer? They will internalize that, and they will come and do business with me because of that. And if I say, hey, if I don't have this, Susie across the street, I know she does. You can bet your britches they're going to do business both with you and Susie. But if you say, oh, have you heard Susie came in across the street and she's a real tramp, like whatever you're going to say, they are going to look negatively upon you for having that mindset. So I just think that positive, like, community over competition is so contagious, and the consumer really wants it. So you just have to be comfortable in who you are, how you serve your customer, and what you do really well.
I love that so much.
So I didn't answer the first part of your question. I kind of answered all your questions in reverse, so I apologize. But that's this idea of community over competition. It all stemmed from my time in North Dakota. But what also came from that time was I'm involved. My background is rodeo, right? Which is pretty rare. Not a lot of people know, especially east of the Mississippi. But I grew up on a ranch, had horses, the whole thing. Well, I had some opportunity as I was living that part of my life to travel the country. And as I would travel, I would find these awesome boutiques, like in a downtown in California, or at a rodeo in Nevada, or in Miami. Like, I just had this opportunity to travel the country. And I thought, man, why why don't I have access to cool stores like this back home? These are so different than what I'm used to. And so this idea began to marinate when I was in North Dakota. Like, I just want to create this one place where people like me can have access to all these super cool stores from one location, like an online shopping mall. And so what happened was my father passed away, who was really our anchor to North Dakota and our family ranch and everything. And my husband and I decided, let's have an adventure. Let's move to Wisconsin. Let's do something we've never done before. And that's where my husband's from. And so when we moved and I left economic development and had to decide, what am I going to do next with my life? We both decided, we've always had this idea to get these boutiques from all over the country and bring them to one spot, like an online shopping mall boutiques. Let's build it. So we literally took our life savings, hired a web developer, didn't know what we were getting ourselves into, like literally no idea, and started to plug away at this. And I had lots of boutique friends and contacts. And so I started to call all of them one at a time, like, hey, I'm going to build this. Would you use it? What do you think? What do you need? And as we built it, what we found out was these store owners, they really needed a community. They needed answers to their questions. They needed a resource. And so they would ask me these questions like, Ashley, oh my gosh, Facebook just launched Facebook ads. What do I do? And it just so happened, like, well, that was my background. I did a lot of work in Facebook ads. I'll show you. And so I just started to say, I'll teach you everything I know. And if there's something I don't, I'll find somebody who can. So I feel like, you're not going to be the smartest person in the room. You just have to surround yourself with great people. And that's what the hub really became. So yes, we still have this online shopping mall. It's called shopthebestboutiques.com. But the boutique hub today really is to be the one central resource for any small business retailer to come and find the answers to all their questions, to find a community who just really gets it, and the latest in strategy and training every single week from experts in the industry. And if we don't know the answer, we will find somebody who does.
I love you. I mean, you guys cover a lot of information. I mean, I know it is a paid subscription, but the amount of free content that you give is amazing. And what I love is seeing you guys will repost your stores or other stores, TikToks and Reels. And I think that's so brilliant. It's like sharing the love. I mean, to the ultimate.
Yeah, it is. It is. There's always enough to go around, like I said, right? There's always enough. And I feel like when you see, hopefully you get a version when you see our free content, whether it's through the podcast, through our Instagram, through our TikTok, whatever. I just want you to get a glimpse of what it feels like to be a part of the community and to know there's a lot more where that came from. And as far as it being a paid subscription, it's $24 a month if you pay annually, or it's $39 a month if you do a month to month. And so we want to make sure that you get a whole year's worth of value in the first month you're a member. We try to make it really, really easy to use.
Impactful. And I actually just bought the Boutique Hub planner that I'm packing at my office because I'm gonna be living on site for 2 months. And I know going into the new year, like I have my little traditions that I plan everything out. So I'm your Boutique Hub planner has already been packed into my car. It's going with me to Las Vegas. I love it. I mean, because tell to sideline from it, but tell everyone a little bit about the Boutique Hub planner, because I love that it has gratitude in there. It has goals. It has, the show dates. I mean, talk a little bit about the planner. And then I want to go back into the hub a little bit more on some of your live events that you do at Magic and all that.
Yeah. So thank you for buying the planner. First of all, we kind of look at it like a boutique Bible. So you can buy a regular day planner. We all do, but then you end up having a day planner, and then you have a marketing planner, and then you have these other notebooks with your ideas. And we thought, can we just bring everything under one roof? So we created this Boutique Boss planner where a retailer of any type, doesn't matter what you sell, you can plan out your entire year, both personal and business. You can track all of your inventory, your sales. There's upcoming marketing content, marketing ideas, promotion ideas. And then there's a lot of review categories, like what was your best performing category this month? What was your best performing team member this month? What promotions did you run? What worked, what didn't work? What are your goals for next month? Where are you paying off debt? Like anything a business owner really needs to keep on top of, we try to pull all of that into the planner to make life a lot easier. And also it's something you can take with you when you go to market. So you can put some of those orders in your planner and not have spreadsheets and papers everywhere. We wanted to tuck it all under one piece of content.
I love that. I can't wait to dive into it because I'm so scattered all over the place that I've scanned through it and it's like, okay, let's.
So to help you dive into it, I'll give you this one tip. So the first week in January, we do this huge challenge and this huge training. It is free for anyone and everyone. If you're a member of the hub, there's extra bonuses and things that come along with it. But anyone can participate. It's called the Best Year Yet Challenge. And so if you have the planner, I would encourage you to bring it, open it up. We'll go through filling it out, but we'll also map out what are the latest strategies that we know are going to work in 2023, and how can you set your goals in retail, and what are we hear from wholesalers that are coming, like what, like this industry mastermind, right? How do we close out 2022 really strong and then map out what's going to come in 2023? So that's the Best Year Yet challenge, and it's the first week in January.
I'm going to make sure this will air in March, I believe, because we've got it all scheduled out. But what we'll do is we'll probably do a teaser post, and then we'll link that. That'll be one of our social media, in promotion of this, but it will be way, way, way ahead. But I think that'll be great because I think a lot of people, everyone wants to start off the year on the right foot. And, I, like I said, I just love that there's gratitude involved in it as well. And, you kind of encompass everything, and to have it in one big book is amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Tell me a little bit about, or tell everyone about, because I saw you at Magic Las Vegas, and I know you did events, but they do boutique hub events, correct? At all the Magics, or do you do anything at the gift shows yet?
So we have a great relationship with Magic, with LVA, with Atlanta, and with Dallas. So at Magic specifically, we host a gathering for our members, like a meetup cocktail party. We do boutique bestie speed dating, which is kind of fun. It's a neat way to meet other store owners from other parts of the country and share best practices. And then I usually will speak at Magic as well. But outside of Magic, when we're in Atlanta, we typically have a booth or a showroom we're in Atlanta, at gift and at apparel markets, mainly apparel. And then in Dallas, we have a showroom, and we're there for all gift and apparel markets as well. Our showroom in Dallas is on the 13th floor. And so we try to make sure we bring in speakers, and we have a live sale showroom if anyone listening, does lives and wants to sell at market, and just be a place for retailers to connect with other retailers, and food and drinks, of course.
I love that. I didn't have I tried to get up to be able to shake your hand during Magic, but you were bombarded by which I can understand why. What was I've already lost track. Wow, Michelle, this is what happens when you get old, just to let you know. For Las Vegas, for this coming the last Las Vegas show, and as well as the other Magics, tell me a little bit about some of the styles and the trends that you loved.
Oh my gosh, styles and trends that I've loved. So it depends on what season we're going to talk about, but a few things that I've loved. I love that we're finally getting away from leopard a little bit. Praise Jesus. It's time for something different. So I like that we're going that direction, with some different prints. I also feel like finally, post-pandemic, we're getting a little more fashion back. Mm-hmm. Like I love the ruffle sleeves and just the more interesting patterns and cuts, where we actually have a stylish top versus just a color block t-shirt. I think we're past those pieces. Gosh, what else? I'm just begging that low-rise jeans never return, because I'm a mom with a muffin top. So can we just please not ever do that again? And then last thing, cowboy boots. I'm a farm girl. I grew up on a ranch. I grew up on a farm and ranch, if we're going to be technical, but I love that everyone loves cowboy boots. And if that comes from Yellowstone, great. I also love that trend as well, just getting back to Western as a whole, because it's such a foundation of our country and it's such a staple of fashion, I feel like. So it's exciting to see those things come back.
I will tell you a story. Some people have heard it before, but when leopard first, when it was really, really big and it first
Mhm.
showed up, and it was like, I'm not kidding you, it was almost every single booth had it, as well as
Mhm.
like 90% of the people, like it got to the point where I was like taking pictures of how many people were in leopard. And, I mean, after you spend a half a day on the show floor and you see it over and over again, you're
Yeah.
kind of like, I'm buying in, because honestly, that is the majority of what's out there.
Yeah.
So I was all in, brought it into the pharmacy. Well, Newbury Park is not big on leopard. Like I still am not living that down. Like, and it's like one of those things that I always tell my retailers is that you without, and the person who's taking over that position, I was telling her the last market is like, with all the pink that was there, same thing. It was like,
So
there's a
much pain.
ton of pink, like, but you have to take a little bit of a risk, if for us being a pharmacy, it is a risk. So it's like, but you
Yeah.
need, I still believe good buyers need to take somewhat of a bit of a risk. You don't have to go all in like I did, but to take a little bit of a risk to test the waters. And if you don't do that, you're never going to know if you're going to be able to sell it. And so she bought some of the pink puffers that were like minis. And it was good to see her start to test the waters like that. But I always think that you have to take some risks as a buyer. You can't play it so safe, because then I feel like your store selection ends up very, say the word, pedestrian.
Yeah. Oh, that's so true. The idea is you can fail fast in retail, right? And so bring it in. And if it doesn't work, like be Cheryl Crow. The first cut is the deepest. Mark that down and get your cash out and move on. And that's okay. I mean, I grew up in North Dakota, so I felt like when I was growing up before social media, like trends didn't get to us for 5 years. It took a
Wow.
while. Now social media has really changed that. I mean, you can appreciate, right? Like the internets were new, right? Um, so now it's very different. And I think this goes back to having a good marketing department, or you yourself just being very good at merchandising pieces together. And maybe if your local area is like trend diverse, how can I make this piece layered with others so it's not quite so bold? Like how can I gradually introduce it in my merchandising and in my styling? But back to the leopard piece, Michelle, I will be honest with you. I tell you I'm sick of leopard, but I live in the Midwest and I have a lot of coats. And my favorite coat is a knee length leopard coat that when I wear it, I'm pretty certain people think that my house smells like cat pee. Like it just makes me look like that woman. Like I must have cats. It must reek of urine when I wear this coat, but it's awesome. And I can't get rid of it.
I do love the leopard coats. I mean, I went in deep. I mean, like skirts and blouses and leggings and sweaters. And it was like, holy shit. Like almost when I think about it now, like we had 3 rails, probably 4 T-stands, and then a wall. And every single one of those sections had leopard in it. And it was like when it all finally got there, I was like, oh my God, like, wow. So trying to dumb it down. It's like, let's cut this with army green, and we'll cut this with a pop of black, but holy shit, like it was everywhere. And then of course the real slap in the face, the real was, okay, Michelle, it's 75% off and no one still wants it. I'm like, oh my God. It's like, it just like keeps like killing me. You brought up sale, and I'm always the first person, because we've had several open to buy people here, as well as a group of 2 guys that have created an open to buy app, which I think is the most amazing thing on earth. What is your philosophy? Like the Cheryl Crow, start with the deep dive. What is your philosophy on sale? Because a lot of people, gift is really bad. Gift is worse than apparel, because apparel changes so fast. But I've gone into some stores where it's like, so tell me about, like, how long have we had this? Like, oh, we've had it for a couple years. Like, wow, couple years. Like, why are we hanging on to this? Well, we keep thinking it's going to sell. Nope, pretty sure it's like 2 seasons. It's not going to sell. Like, so what are your philosophies on markdowns
Yeah, great
and or
question.
sale?
Yeah, I have a lot of opinions. Okay. Well, let's start here. First, my first question would be, what is your technology so that you accurately are keeping track of inventory? Like, do you have the ability to run aging reports? And if so, are you actively doing so you know how old things are? And then every product is different, right? And apparel is different, gifts different. So like, what should the life cycle of this product be? Is it 8 weeks? Okay, if so, in my aging, like if it hasn't reached a certain point, then what are the actions I first can take? And I think about it in apparel specifically like this. It's a rule of thirds. Like if I sell a third of this at full price, if I sell a third of this at a slight markdown, and if I sell a third of this, I just have to blow it out. I can gauge that rule of thumb for a lot of things. That's not ideal, right? But it's a good fallback. So if I can just get a feel for, okay, here's my 8-week cycle, where do I need to start taking action? And I think the first piece comes back to social media. Can I go in and restyle, reshoot, and repost it? And yes, with gift, you absolutely can. Like redo your vignette, redo your merchandising, redo your white flat lay. And I would say that's one area where I feel like apparel has advanced past gift is in photography and social media marketing. So if there's anything for gift to pick up, it's that. And just get active on Instagram, get active in social media, create a Facebook group for your store. It's still alive. Like Facebook is doing its, slow death someday, I'm sure. But for now, like Facebook groups are still really good. So get active, because a lot of times when I see things that people are marking down, they posted it once on a Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. 4 weeks ago, and no one ever saw it.
Yeah.
So make sure it's the rule of, my customer maybe needs to see this 7 times before they take action. So has it went on Instagram, Facebook, in a text, in an email, in a collection on my website, and it's been merchandised in the front third of my store. So I would go through that checklist. And then to your last part of the question about the word sale, and this is really big when you get into the fourth quarter, I would vote for experience and promotion versus the word sale. I think a sale isn't necessary to move product, and a sale isn't necessary to get people in the door, but an experience would be.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, if people are just there for the sale, cheap ain't loyal. And if they want cheap, they can go buy at Walmart, but you're not Walmart. You're a boutique. You're a highly curated experience. So offer promotion to get me in the store: food, music, BOGO, spin the wheel at checkout, pop the balloon at checkout, round up for charity, free shipping over whatever. Like give me some little trigger that gets me there. Or maybe you've got doorbusters for whatever your event is to get me there, but it doesn't have to be a sign in the window that says sale 40% off.
I like the idea. It's almost making it an event. Anthropology used to do, and I just talked to one of my clients about this morning, because I said, I think in January do a big sale and really move some stuff, because they do antiques and some of their new products and home pieces. And I said, I think that way it clears out some stuff. And she was asking, do we just tag it throughout the store? I'm like, no, I think pull it all together in one space. As Anthro used to call it, a tag sale. And they, instead of having giant red obnoxious thing on it, they did a great little craft card, and then did the stamp in red that said sale, and it was all there. So it wasn't like an Easter egg hunt where you had to go through the whole store and try and find it. It was like all like, here it all is, one and done. But you had said something just now that I've brought up several times on the podcast, is that social media just as a whole has grown much faster and more technical for apparel than gift. And I had talked about this before, 3 magics ago. I was blown away, and I love seeing, because like I've been in retail for 40 plus years. Like I started at the Wet Seal. I've had stores at Fred Seal. I was in Anthropology. I've been there and done it all, which is why the podcast is called The Retail War. The coolest thing to see at Magic 3 years ago, or 3 seasons ago, was how many people, all the girls going live. And it was so insane. And like, they're with their rings, and they got their crew, and they set up in the booth. They've done what they're picking out. They've got their friend in it. Like, this is whatever denim line. It's like, fits like this, blah, blah, blah. They've already decided the retail price on it. They're taking live orders on it, and they're turning around going, we'll take 10 packs. That was like, my mind was blown. I mean, it's so cool to see how apparel is moving so fast and changes. And I'd like to think a lot of that is from the pandemic and people, like the risk taking that people are doing. And it's all of the younger ones. And I will say there's one store that during the pandemic, this podcast started because I was doing live Instagrams. And one of the 2 people that I interviewed are a mother-daughter team, and they have a store called Kingfisher Road. They're huge fans of you as well. they pivoted so fast and
Yeah.
we're going live on Instagram and Facebook. And then they are still doing it now. It's the most amazing thing to see. And it's like, they're really the only ones I've seen out of everybody that we've talked to that have continued keeping on the live and pushing the envelope. And I feel like Gift needs that push to get out there. But I feel like I've always said it, no offense, everybody. Gift feels like, especially during the shows, Gift feels like old ladies in cat sweaters, and fashion shows and apparel feels fast and it's loud and there's music and there's interactive. I mean, that it's like Gift needs to get with it and move in that
Yeah.
direction.
I 100% echo, and please, no offense, gift stores that are listening. I don't want to offend you. I really want to teach you how to do this. This is like my biggest, like, I just love this. I have such a heart for this. My passion really is like the marketing and digital and social strategy for retailers. And then we have all kinds of other experts on our team who can teach you all the other things, but this is really my sweet spot. So we can easily teach you how to do this. It's not hard. Well, the hardest part is pushing the live button.
Yeah.
That's the most intimidating part. But as far as like, if we're being honest, going back to people wanting to do business with people, I think sometimes our customers just want to know, like, oh, like maybe my life feels like a bit of a shit show, but actually theirs is too, and I like them more because of it. And so I want to support them. So I think we're past this day of like a really pretty, perfect picture and a perfect window. And, this is the business, but this is me, and they're separate anymore. It's kind of just all one together. Like, I am the business. This is my business brand. This is my personal brand. And take it or leave it. This is who I am. And I'm going to be completely transparent, but you trust me for it. And so let me sell you this item for your table. It's just all one piece together.
I think that people, it's that connection. Like they feel like they know you. And I even like MC Design Collaboration, my brand, I'm on stories all the time and talking about what we're doing. And I realize, poor retail whore, like I'm never on it. So I'm actually trying to make a more concerted effort to try and go on there more, because it's like, it's crazy how fast it's growing. I'm very grateful. We've only been doing this for a year and a half, and like we're just about to hit 12,000 downloads and
Awesome.
sponsorship now. It's kind of a crazy ride, but I realize people want to know more about me, and not half of them don't even know what MC Design Collaboration is. It's really sad that this has now become the thing, but I'm now trying to go out. And I think that a lot of it is like people get really afraid and that ego gets involved. Like, not ego meaning I'm such a big, all that, but like, oh my God, my makeup and my hair. And it's like, people start freaking out about that. And I think if they just get over, just like hit the live button, go out, even just doing stories, like just so people know who you are and what you sound like. And, when I go to your store, you know them or they know you. And I think that's huge.
Yeah. That's such a good place to start. Like you mentioned, just go in stories. And let me give you this. I'll give you some like strategies. So if you guys are taking notes, if you're listening, write these things down, because hopefully this will help you make it not so overwhelming. Because I think at the end of the day, a lot of stores are like, I just don't have space. I don't have time. I can't keep up with TikTok and all these different things that are happening. Like, I can barely, pay attention at the end of the day. So I think about it like this. When you're mapping out, what am I going to put on social media this week? I think about it like I'm baking a cake, and there's 3 main ingredients to my perfect cake. And that is the content we're going to post. This content would include, number 1, branded content. So branded content would be me doing just what you're saying on stories, talking about, oh, hey, I'm at market, I'm buying, I'm doing this. Can you believe it? Here's what happened. This, I almost ran over this dog outside. I don't know, whatever random things happen in taxi cabs in Vegas. And then, by the way, I bought this really cool thing for the store. And it's just this behind the scenes. But what it's essentially doing is it's building a relationship between you and your customer. And it's defining and exposing what your brand is all about. So you can also lace that with, hey, it's Giving Tuesday. Here's the good things I did for my community. Here's this event we hosted. Here's the models that you see in our pictures. Here's why I created the store. Here's my why in business. Like all those behind the scenes, that's branded content. The second piece of content is sales content. So this is actually showing, okay, I just got this new shipment of fuzzy pens in. Here's where they are. Here's how you buy them. Purchase now, whether you're coming in store or here's the link to the website. And you're very specifically asking for the sale. And there has to be enough. If you think about how much inventory do I have? Do I have enough sales content scheduled in my content plan this week to actually sell what's coming in? Or am I only posting something here, there, and everywhere and hoping they discover the rest? They won't. I have to be making a really specific effort to have enough products posted on social media every day so that people can actually buy them. And then the third piece of content is engaging content. And engaging content is simply meant to game the algorithm on social media. Because how the algorithm works is it's going to say, hey, does person A really like to follow brand A? The only way we can measure that is if they like or comment or stop the scroll and watch a video. And if they do, then we'll reward, this business in the algorithm by showing more of their content. So the game becomes, with whatever I post, how do I get more people just to look at it or to like it or to comment it? And it's a game. So that's when I start to go in and say, okay, hey, Michelle, what's your favorite food to eat for Thanksgiving? What's your family tradition on Black Friday? And I just ask these random questions that really don't have anything to do with my brand, but it gets my customer talking and interacting in the algorithm. And so now my content starts to show up more and more.
Do you do that on, in stories where it's the little question box, or is this through reels, or is this on stories where you're asking the question and people are commenting? Like how are you getting this engagement? Where does it show up more?
That's a great question. So in those three pieces of content, or this recipe, right? You could take this recipe and apply it to any social media channel and like strategy, like reels versus stories or whatever. Like you could do it anywhere. So a couple ways I would execute that. If I was doing just Instagram stories, my question of the day could be either a question box. It could be a slider. I could ask, like, maybe I made Brussels sprouts for dinner last night and I take a picture of them and I just say Brussels sprouts question mark. And then I have the little slider and people will have either a really positive or a very negative reaction to Brussels sprouts. And it could be a reel. I could take the same video that I did of my Brussels sprouts sizzling when they come out of the oven. And I could just ask that question and say, Brussels sprouts question mark. And then let people fill up the comments and they will go crazy. Or it could be in my Facebook group, same thing. But every day there's some sort of engagement that maybe isn't specific to my products, but it's specific to my customer. Because if I know my customer is age, we'll say 30 to 55, and she's got grown children and she's, facing these pieces of her life, I know she's at home cooking Brussels sprouts at least one day a week. But then she's doing takeout the rest of the week because she's so busy. She's running all these other places. So I would just formulate questions related to that ideal customer.
That's really smart. And we've had a couple people that have talked with us for social media and then repurposing that same question, like you said, onto reels, doing it out on TikTok as well. I think I like the idea of it being kind of out there everywhere. I mean, I think the more that you're out there, the more important and the more you're going to get responses from all different avenues.
Yeah. And it's about working smarter and not harder. Most business owners we're all busy. We can't get it all done. So if I can just we have a whole strategy we teach inside the Boutique Hub, and it's 6 essential pieces of content. And it helps store owners just map out, okay, each Monday, if I'm going to sit down, I'm going to get these photos and these questions and like these pieces of our 6 pieces of content. If I can pull them all together on Monday, and then I can pre-schedule them all on Facebook and Instagram and my emails for the week and just be done with it. Then the rest of the week, I can go in and actually manage, is this working? Is it not? How's my daily sales? Do I need to go live an extra time in order to boost my sales? Do I need to send an extra email? How am I going to get more people in the store? Or how can I just answer the questions and engage with people on social media versus waking up on a random Thursday going, well, what am I going to post today? I'm going to take a picture of this random display that I have in the front of my store that really isn't going to do anything for me because it's not pointed enough.
So
there's a whole strategy.
Say that's how I used to do it. It's like, and I finally was like, I hired a VA because my days start at 4:30 in the morning, and I was literally like getting up, having coffee and posting something. And it was like, what am I doing? And now, She sends it out to all platforms, which is great. And sitting down and doing ideally a month of content is like
Yeah.
seriously the best thing ever. It has taken off so much pressure off me. I
Oh,
sometimes feel a little bit disconnected to it, but I'll go in and like I'm still doing stories all the time. I'll do a reel and throw it in there, but it is taken off so much. And the consistency alone is such a change. It's crazy.
yeah. I mean, I equate it to, if you're in retail, when you go to market, you have a very specific plan when you go to market. I need this much inventory in order to succeed. Social media works the exact same way. I need this much content to succeed. So we can't, like, I can't imagine you just showing up to market going, well, I'm going to buy a couple blue sweaters and I'm going to buy a couple of, baked
Girl, you
goods
don't even know.
here.
So many people do.
I know they do, but it doesn't work. Like, social media is the same way. We got to be consistent and have a plan.
I love talking about social media. Did you start Pink Friday?
Yes.
Because you guys, okay, I looked up the tag. It's like 497,000 people used that tag That is freaking amazing.
Oh my
Tell me,
gosh.
tell everyone a little bit about, because Kingfisher Road did it, and I did see a few gift stores do it, which was amazing. So tell everyone a little bit about Pink Friday, because the reality
Oh,
like everywhere. It was so cool.
my heart is so full thinking about it and how many people have just like latched onto it. So thank you. Pink Friday is this. I love when it comes to like Black Friday week and the holiday season. It's great that we have Small Business Saturday. So I don't want to dog it at all. It's wonderful. But my beef with Small Business Saturday has always been that it comes after Black Friday. It's after people have already all been out shopping. They've spent most of their money, and small businesses become an afterthought. And I just have always disliked that. And I have found that most of the stores we work with have more success doing events before Black Friday. Most of them are doing their holiday open houses or VIP nights or whatever. And so we created the tagline, shop small first, or support small first. And so Pink Friday is always the Friday before Black Friday. And it's a day for all stores to come together in community over competition, to celebrate their local community, whether you're an online store or a brick and mortar, and to just really tell your story to your customers and to encourage them to shop small first. So it's a day, I know a lot of people still work on that Friday, right? But there's still a lot of opportunity to make sales, even if it's, a work day. That's been demonstrated over the past 3 years. But what's even bigger than just the sales that take place on that day is the brand awareness. And that's really like at the heart of what we're after. We want stores that participate to get media coverage. So we try to tie in a lot of media training to Pink Friday, teaching store owners how to send out press releases, how to get involved in their local chambers of commerce, how to just build those media relationships so that year round, the media will come back and ask them about their business. So really, shop small first is also tied hand in hand with just telling your story and your why. Why did you get into business in the first place?
I love that. It really truly was so cool to see how many people were doing it. And then going and looking at like how many tags, I was like, holy shit. And then I want to touch on hub inventory, because that you released just recent, and tell everyone a little bit about that, because that's a whole nother leg.
It's a whole nother leg. And we've had this dream and this ask for a long time. So a part of the Boutique Hub is we've always supported retail businesses, but we've also always supported wholesale businesses. We have over 800 brands, wholesale brands and showrooms that are now a part of the community. And they've often asked us, hey, can we please have our own wholesale marketplace? Which is a big ask. It's a lot of technology to put together to build our own version of Fair or Fashion Go or Jour or New Order. And so we started to build this 2 years ago. Right before the pandemic, we got started. And part of our mission with the wholesalers that are a part of the Boutique Hub is we always want our retailers to know that these wholesale brands they're shopping from are quality, they're vetted, they're approved. We know that they're going to be a good fit for actual boutique owners. So we started to build Hubventory. We launched it late summer 2022. And it's a wholesale marketplace, but it's built with a small business owner in mind. So we've also worked in some open to buy planning for Hubventory. So a store owner can go in and map out what's my budget. And as I buy things, I can see that budget change. It also comes with Shopify integrations, both on the wholesale side. So if I'm a wholesale brand or product maker selling on Shopify, this is a sales channel I can plug right into to list my products on Hubventory. And then soon our integration for boutiques will be finished as well. So if I purchase on Hubventory, I can push all my products as draft products to Shopify. But really the third thing that we've built into it that I think is really important is the board system. So Hubventory is kind of a cross between a wholesale marketplace meets Pinterest. And so a retailer can go on, and as I'm planning, what am I going to buy? I can build boards.
Oh, I love
So
it.
I can map out holidays, I can map out weekly launches, collections, whatever, see everything laid out in boards before I buy it. And then once I buy it, it goes to a whole shipment board. So I can see on the boards, when are my pieces coming, and I can drag and drop and build my collections around actual arrival dates so that my whole inventory process is just a little bit smarter.
I love that. I'm like all about curating the buys. I mean, I will, for gift, for the people that I buy for, I spend a lot of time curating from lots of different vendors for the gift end of it. So whether it's mushrooms or bees or whatever, but
Yeah.
they're very curated, and I'm old school. I need my freaking catalogs. And of course, no one's doing them anymore because I create boards back here in my office. And it's like,
Yeah.
here's what the bee concept looks like. Here's your contextualizers. Here's the display pieces we're using. Here's how we're laying it out on the table. But it's very hard to do that with everything online. So something like that is amazing. I love it because retailers are visual. I think all of us need to see like it all laid out, which is why, when you go to a show and you're pulling apparel, you have your own rack and you can sit there and see how it lays out. But this is like the best of both worlds. It's not just that rack. It's like all the racks all in one.
Yeah, I hope so. Because it's hard when you just like, if you think about traditional online wholesale buying, you're just adding everything to your cart.
Yeah.
And then you have to kind of think like, okay, this is going to arrive here and this is going to arrive there, but these are actually two different collections. They don't go together. So if I could just plan everything on boards first and then add it all to the cart, I would have a much better visualization of that concept.
Amazing. Okay, I have to ask you now, because you'd said your husband was in the beginning. Is your husband still working with you?
Yes, yes.
I
He
love
has,
it.
yeah, for a few years now. He's our CFO. And he does all the like behind the scenes, not sexy work at the boutique hub. I'll tell you that.
It's great. My husband works with me as well. We started doing retail whore road trips where we're going to retailers because retailers are visual.
I love
So
it.
we're
Yes.
going to we're circling back around with people that we've interviewed already that I had so many people reach out and say like, what does the store look like? So now we're starting to do, and my husband has now been roped into, he's now the cameraman. He's now the editor. It's hilarious. I'm like, thank you, honey.
That's awesome. I love the name too. I'm gonna watch this.
It's, like I said, it came because literally I have done just about every single job in retail from 14 on, from stock rooms to management to, district manager but I've always ended up back with visual merchandising because that's where my heart is. So, but
Yeah.
those are visual. And the last one we did was Nathan and Co. up in Oakland, and he has a pretty amazing store. And we go through everything from lines he loves to his merchandising to their opening statement and how often. I mean, they're fun. We're going to do 4 next year, so I'm super excited about that. Okay, I have 2 last questions for you because I know time is precious and you are.
Yeah.
I always ask creative people this: is where do you find inspiration?
Oh, good question. Gosh. Uh, depends on what it is. So business inspiration, I love, like I'm a big self-help guru, I would say. Like, oh yeah. I
Your
don't read.
name's Michelle. I am too.
Yeah. I have never gotten into like fiction books. Like that's not my thing, but if it's like a self-help podcast or like I'm just an achiever by nature. So podcast books, all that stuff for sure. As far as style and inspiration, boutiques have always been my inspiration. Like that's why the boutique hub is what it is. Like it is so cool to go to this little curated shop and see someone's personal style defined by how they've merchandised something or the photo shoots they've had if they're an online store. So I really am inspired by a lot of the stores that we get to work with. Going to market, obviously Magic, just because that experience is just so electric. I get a lot of inspiration there as well. And then Michelle, you've got to check this out. Okay. So I came from the Western industry, from rodeo. the like big grand finale of our sport, the Super Bowl of the sport, is called the NFR. It's the National Finals Rodeo. It's held in Las Vegas every December. It's one of Vegas's biggest events, actually. And
What's going on now?
yeah.
I just got a memo because they're just coming back. They're at the Las Vegas World Market Center in the new convention centers they're building.
Oh yeah, so it takes over the whole city. So
Wow.
the rodeo itself is at UNLV, but then there's trade shows, there's Western trade shows at every single convention center, from Mandalay to South Point to Sands, whatever. It's everywhere. It's huge. But the fashion, even though it's Western, I will tell you the fashion there is just, it's just something you have to see, even if it's not your game and it's not your style. Like, it's just really cool to be a part of that world too.
It's funny because I think with the explosion of Yellowstone and some other shows that have come out, I'm bringing on a new client there in, I believe, Utah, and it's a store that's been on the main street forever, and we're reimagining it. It's not going to be so reimagined that the bread and butter, their core group of people that come in there for their Wranglers and their shirts and the tacking, but it's to also bring in some of the tourism that's coming now into this area more and more and more. And I told them, it's like, one of the things I really want to do at the window is do one of those huge, big black and white murals, photos of like back one of the historicals of, through the town, I'm so excited for this project. And it's like, I said to him, like, we're going to think like old school Miller's Outpost, as well as Yellowstone, and like this whole, like, bring this whole vibe up into, raise the standard on where it's at right now. Cause right now it's like a tax store. It's not like, you wouldn't go, but I mean, some of the things they sell, I will say, it's like, I will always love stuff like that, and going into like old school hardware stores are the same thing for me. But I may have to go to some of these rodeo shows.
Yeah, well, you message me, I'll hook you up, I'll tell you all about them.
100%, because like I said, I leave tomorrow, so I'm there for the next 2 months. Okay. Last question is, because this podcast is called Retail Horror Stories and Lessons from a Life in Retail, what is your biggest lesson that you can tell people about?
My biggest lesson, gosh. Well, I would say the first, I'll say two. So the first, the community over competition lesson in terms of becoming a retail destination that is specific to retail, I think that's huge. The second lesson I will say is more on a personal level. And I'm going to say this probably is more applicable to a lot of the younger listeners that you have. One time I was telling someone about this business idea of the Boutique Hub, and it was the CEO of this big company that we're all probably familiar with. And the CEO looked at me and he said, "Good luck with your little project." No. And I could almost feel him pat me on the top of the head. And I thought, okay. And I went home and I wrote that saying on a Post-it note, and I put it in the middle of my vision board. And someday, someone better not steal this trademark idea, but someday I'm going to write a book and that's going to be the title.
Oh, so my God, I think
such a big lesson, I think, for all of us. Like, we all get discouraged, right, by other people's opinions, but it's what we choose to do with it that really matters. We can either take that to heart and let fear sink in, or we could just do something about it and prove them wrong. Just go for it anyway and do it scared. So big lesson, I think, for all of us.
I love that. I'm all about, the proving it to yourself, as well as, just jumping. Like, I'm going to do it. Like, cost hell or high water. I'm literally like this stupid podcast. I literally was like, I'm going to start a podcast. And like everyone's like, oh, okay. And I think even Elisa, who is our digital marketing manager, is like, sure, I'll help you with that. And she's like, God damn, I never knew it was going to be like a thing. Like, it's like, but I was like, I'm going to do this, and we're going to figure it out, and we're going to do it. And it's like, I'm so glad I'm just like, I don't listen to what people say as the naysayers and like, oh, yeah, good luck with your little podcast. Like, yeah, you're right. Just watch.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Right.
Thank you so much for your time. I am so excited and honored that you spent this time with me, because honestly, like I said, I've been a little bit of a stalker, like following you and digging into the book. So when I reached out to, I think it was Molly, who I first spoke to, I'm like, I'm just going to throw it out there. Like, I know she's really busy, but and I was so happy when Holly, the other part of the boutique company, Holly and Molly, when Holly
Yeah.
responded, she was like, yes, absolutely. I'm like, you just made my day. So thank
Aw.
you for making my day. And I'm so excited for our retailers and the gift industry to learn more about the boutique hub, because I think honestly, it's like one of the most important resources that everyone's able to utilize and like to learn from. And like the social media aspect alone is huge. So thank you.
Oh, thank you for asking, and thank you for the heart that you have to do this and to help people, because that's what it's all about, right? At the end of the day, it's not about selling products. It's about the mark that you're leaving in other people's lives, and that's what you're doing by having this podcast. So we're aligned in that, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much.